This is the last time the world searches for MH370. If we don't find it now, in 2026, it will become a ghost forever. I'm going to reveal the terrifying technology being used right now. I've been following this case for years, and what I've discovered will blow your mind. Imagine you're in a giant, dark room, and you only have a small flashlight to find a needle. Now, imagine that room is the bottom of the Indian Ocean. That's exactly what's happening now, in 2026. The world has decided to go back to the water. But why now? Why, after 12 years of silence, has Malaysia finally given in? The short answer is that technology has finally caught up with the mystery, so we no longer have any excuse not to look. The truth is that the disappearance of flight MH370 in March 2014 was not just an accident. It was an insult to our intelligence. How does a Boeing 777, with 239 people on board, simply vanish in a world full of satellites and radar? However, what few people know is that the risk of not finding this plane today is much greater than the cost of searching for it. If we accept that a plane can disappear like that, none of us are truly safe when we fasten our seatbelts. The big twist in this new search, which officially began on December 30, 2025, is a contract called No Find, No Fee. This means if you don't find it, you don't get paid. The company Ocean Infinity has put $70 million on the line. It's an all-or-nothing gamble. They believe so much in this new search area that they are risking bankruptcy to solve this puzzle. And you might be wondering, what did they see that no one else has seen before? Well, here's a name you need to remember: Richard Godfrey. He's not a CIA agent nor a spy. He's an engineer who used something called WSPR. Imagine a world covered by an invisible network of radio wires, like a spider's web. Every time a plane passes, it shakes this web. Godfrey analyzed data from 2014 and found taps in the web that no one had looked at. So, the path that MH370 took may have been much more precise than official radars showed. But it's not just radio. Something deeper is happening, literally. Researchers at Cardiff University in the UK found a sound signal, a signal of only 6 seconds. This sound was recorded by microphones hidden on the ocean floor, used to detect nuclear tests. The conflict here is heavy. Some scientists say it's the impact of the plane, others say it's just geological noise. However, if it is the impact, it points to a place where no one has ever looked. This leads us to a bizarre contrast. On one side, we have the cutting-edge technology of Ocean Infinity, with robots that look like science fiction torpedoes, mapping the seabed in 3D. On the other side, we have the human mystery, Captain Zahari Shah. Many believe he was the villain of this story, that he planned everything. But what if the villain isn't a person? What if it's an electrical fault so strange that no one could have predicted it? The tension increases when we look at the map. The new search area is 15,000 square kilometers. It seems like a lot, right? But for the ocean, that's nothing. The risk here is time. The remaining pieces of the plane down there are being covered by mud and sediment with each passing minute. If we don't find it now, the sea will swallow MH370 forever. And the cost of not reaching the truth is leaving 239 families without a grave to mourn at. Do you feel the story is almost over? Well, that's where the cold water comes in. Recently, in January 2026, the search ship stopped in the middle of the ocean. The internet went crazy. Everyone thought they had found the plane. So, what really happened? The ship was simply waiting for a storm to pass. The general feeling was one of discouragement. This shows how frayed our nerves are. We want this movie to end, but the ocean is in no hurry. Now, pay attention to this. There's a piece of the puzzle that almost no one talks about: the flaperon found on Reunion Island. It's a piece of the wing. Scientists analyzed the barnacles, those little creatures that cling to metal that were attached to it. Based on the water temperature that those barnacles prefer, they discovered that the plane didn't crash where the government said it did. It crashed much further south in icy waters. However, for years, governments ignored this detail. Why the secrecy? Why the silence? The conflicting information is what keeps this mystery alive. Malaysia took years to accept the new search because admitting the mistake is costly for the country's image. But the pressure from the families and the new data from 2025 made it impossible to ignore. Now, we are living through the 55 golden days. This is the time the robots have to sweep the seabed before the contract ends. Imagine these robots now. They dive to 6,000 meters. It's freezing, it's cold. The pressure down there would crush a car like it was a soda can. They use magnetometers to find metal buried in the mud. It's our last hope. If these robots return empty, MH370 becomes a legend, like the Bermuda Triangle. But if they find it, the world will never be the same again. With each square kilometer mapped, the uncertainty decreases. So, we stay here, glued to the screen, waiting for a sign. What really happened in that cockpit? Was it a fight? Was it a mass collapse due to lack of oxygen? Or was it something much more sinister involving governments and radars deliberately turned off? The storytelling of this tragedy doesn't yet have its final chapter, but the pen is in the hands of technology now. What I want you to understand is that this search isn't about a plane. It's about the truth. It's about the fact that nothing can disappear without leaving a trace on our planet. If we give up on MH370, we give up on our own safety. The technology of 2026 has given us a new lens. Now, all that's missing is the courage to look to the end. We're reaching a point where mystery will collide with reality. It could be tomorrow, it could be in a month. The important thing is that the search has restarted because science has proven that there's still a chance. We started talking about the fear of losing the trail, and now we're facing the biggest rescue operation in history. The contrast between the silence of the ocean floor and the noise of social media is enormous. But the final answer isn't in an X post or on YouTube. It's down there, in the dark, waiting to be illuminated by an $80 million robot. The story of MH370 is humanity's biggest what if. What if they had looked at the radar sooner? What if they had listened to the radio signal on the right day? Now the what if is no longer relevant. Now it's when. When will we find it? Time is running out. The 55 days are passing. The ocean continues to keep its secret, but for the first time in a decade, we have the right tools to extract the truth from it. This journey has been long and painful. For those watching from the outside, it's a fascinating mystery. For those who were inside, it was the end of everything. And for us, who remained, it's a lesson in persistence and in never accepting the impossible as the final answer. The plane is still there. It didn't evaporate. And now, in 2026, we are closer to it than ever before. Keep an eye on the coming months. The news will fly. Every sign of metal found will be a shock to the system. Every empty area will be a new tension. But we won't stop until we have the answer. Because the only thing worse than a tragedy is a tragedy without explanation. Now, subscribe to the channel to learn more about how things really are, and until our next conversation.